Yeah, woo!
Welcome, everybody. What's up? This is Talking Cardboard Live. I'm John. That's Joe. And we're 100% obsessed with the hobby. No industry glaze, just real talk about ripping packs, chasing grails, trading at shows, and geeking out over cardboard. Vintage, modern, Hall of Fame, prospects, whatever your PC is, we're here for it all. And that kid in a candy store kind of feeling. Y'all ready? Let's rip into it. This is Talking Cardboard Live, episode number 14.
14.
Joe, how you doing?
Doing great, man. I can't believe it's our 14th episode, dude.
I know. It keeps going and going and going.
You haven't gotten sick of me yet. It's crazy.
I know. It's crazy.
What's up, Keith?
What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This week, we are going to be talking about the sweet, sweet subject of the good, the bad, and the ugly, grading sports cards. There's a lot of aspects to it. Before we dive into anything, just wanted to give a little shout out. We do this show every week, and we do have some expenses that we incur. If you'd like to support the show, there's a few ways you can do that. You can like us here on YouTube. You can subscribe to us and click that notification bell. And then also, we do have a Patreon. It's the other way we can monetize the show. So if you'd like to join our Patreon, it is we have a level at $5 where you can financially support what we're doing and help us to pay for the costs of running this show. And we have some awesome perks that are in the planning stages at this point as we're growing the audience. And that's all I got to say. Patreon, you can find us Talking Cardboard Live, and the link is in the description. So, Joe, again, how's it going?
Good, man. Ted, you having a pretty good week. You got a job the end of last week, so that's cool. Starting the 29th.
Right. Yes.
Like a full-time job.
Awesome, man. Awesome, man. That's good.
Yeah.
Good news.
How about you?
Good. Yeah. Just been, focusing on some stuff like, live shows. The live shows are fun, man. They're fun. I've been busy as ever, and in the planning stages of some other stuff. Actually, it's a good thing we're talking about this grading thing, because I think it's a big part of like what I am looking at right now in terms of avenues to potentially include grow the cool stuff that's in my PC as well, to continue to grow my own business on Whatnot and the other places that I'm selling. So I think it's good timing with all this sunny after like a couple weeks of about a week and a half of it being a little gloomy and hot here and rainy in Nashville. It was just hot today and sunny. So anyways,
15 minutes of rain. We haven't had rain outside of that in the last 2 weeks. We need rain bad here.
Ah, shoot. Hope you get it.
It's dry.
Well, let's dive.
We had half of a 90-foot oak tree in the backyard come down on our fire pit the other night. That was awesome.
That's crazy.
It was crazy. It was really good that we weren't sitting outside by it, because it came down. The bulk of it came down right where we all sit. It tore the concrete up, and
boy, that's not good. That's not good.
It's not like somebody threw a frag grenade in my backyard. Honestly, Tim and I, we were doing like we went out there. Yeah. The dust was it was crazy.
Because you heard the crash and everything?
Yeah. It just came down in a big thump, and it just blew splinters and stuff everywhere.
That reminds me of when I was a kid and lightning hit a pretty large sized tree in our front yard, and we just got lucky. The tree fell in a different direction. If the tree had fallen, it was going to fall like right on our house. And if it had fallen on the house, it would have fallen right on my bedroom. So it turned out okay, but I do remember them getting the chainsaws out and having to spend half a day, getting the logs all trimmed up and all that stuff. Pretty crazy. Mother Nature can't beat it. Beat it. Got to join it.
She's gonna do what she does.
She sure does. All right. Well, let's talk about we're cracked open this topic of grading sports cards, and we're talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly. So maybe we don't lead with the bad stuff, the really bad stuff that's been going on lately. Maybe we lead with like the positives of grading.
For sure.
And because grading is obviously it's huge. It's and for people that are in the higher end stuff, it's like really all there is. It's like it's graded, or it's kind of worthless in a way. It's the higher end market, it's all graded stuff.
And some people in the card business have their entire business model is raw to grade.
Oh yeah. So, yeah, it's high end, like grading, like taking $1,000 card and turning it into a $7,000 card.
Yeah.
things like that.
The thing is, I don't quite go that. I try to do things in more like the $10 to $50 range, and hopefully bump it up into a $300 to $400 card.
Sure. There's different ways you can upgrade for sure. There's different levels. A lot of the stuff that you see, the clickbait and like the big viral posts that you see on social media, they tend to be like these. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's a dope Cooper flag. But at some point, unless they rip that from a pack, they may have bought that from somebody intentionally to grade it.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole game of like, well, if you pull something like that, you're probably going to be looking at it pretty closely yourself to think about whether you're going to grade it. And, whether it's just interesting. There's like a whole dance with that. I'm sure I'm not really familiar with it, but yeah, it's fascinating. Obviously people put a premium on something that's graded, even if, the card is exactly the same card sitting in a top loader. Might be the exact same card, but because somebody says it's in perfect condition, even though somebody's eyes could take a look at it and see, oh, the card is in perfect condition and it doesn't need to sit in this special holder, it's worth like 10 times as much, or sometimes even more than that. Yep. So, it
can be an exponential multiplier for sure.
Love it or hate it, it's part of the game. And, there are things that I like about it. For example, you can have like a card. Like this card is maybe like back in the 70s was nothing. It was like a playing card, like a Babe Ruth playing card. And it's a Joker. It gems a 10. It's like, oh, that's cool. Right. It's like, it gives that card's definitely got some legs to it now, because it's a gem 10 Babe Ruth, you know? And that card was really nothing that special before. Or you can
gem 10 Ruth.
Yeah, and then you can get lucky with things too. Like this is one of those cards where like I've taken some flyers at grading these thickies, what is this?
Project 22,
Project 70s and things like that. And sometimes you can take a flyer at it, and that one graded pretty well, and it's okay, and so but there's people that do this at a much higher level than I do, even though I'm learning about it all the time. And I do like them. I mean, most of the stuff that is really like the higher end, like PC stuff that I have is graded. Like almost all of it is. So
I grade a lot of my high end stuff just to protect it.
Yeah. So I think it's good, grading it. And also, I mean, obviously the appeal, it looks cool, especially if it's 10, looks really cool, depending on what the card is. Older cards, probably doesn't matter as much if the number is super high, but also depends on who the player is and all that stuff. And I do think that,
do you want to be a PC, you're trying to, resell it, or if you're trying to resell it, then you want the highest grade possible. It's going to bring you the maximum return on your investment.
Yeah. And I think that if you think about it, it's for protection. It's for, enhancing the value. It's for protecting the value. Because once it's slabbed up, unless you can see that it was visibly dropped or something like that, people are just going to trust that nothing bad happened to the card for the most part, unless there's a visual thing that you see that like the card got like sun bleached or something like that. I've seen that before, where you see you see like an 8 or a 9 or a 10 that's like just totally sun bleached. You're like, I think that thing was just sitting out in the sun for forever,
And some of it's not even the sun. Some of it's the light in showcases.
Sure.
When these shops put cards in showcase lights for months and ultimately end up sitting there for a year or two, it'll bleach the heck out of the cards. It'll discolor the cards in a major way. So with the grading thing, the good, the bad, and the ugly was a nice little catchphrase and stuff. But I really wanted to break it down, sort of like pros, cons, options, and then the ugly. The ugly is going to be the elephant in the room for the time being, that everybody's aware of, regarding Collectors Inc. and some of the other ancillary grading companies over the last couple of weeks, that has just really turned things upside down for some folks.
Yep.
And it's creating a whole lot of uncertainty and a whole lot of what's coming, what's next questions. So we'll hit that up at the end rather than focusing on the bad stuff at the beginning. But as far as the pros go, what are some of the, we already went over some of them as far as protection value. What are some of the main pros you see in grading cards when you send stuff off?
It's a learning process, I think, too. I think the thing that's kind of cool about it is when you really start to practice it, you become better at evaluating cards.
Sure.
And evaluating the condition of cards, because you're thinking, now, if I just, my heart, it's a player I like, it's a set I like, I just like the card, you're maybe not thinking as critically about the condition, but once you start to grade and you start to look at the corners and you start to look to make sure there's no creases or any print lines or any flaking that's going on the coating or any weird stuff that's going on the ridges on the sides of the card. You know, some sets are just notorious for having that kind of stuff happen, and then you're just hosed. But like, you know, and then the centering, like, so I think grading, if you get into grading, you get into kind of zeroing in on cards and kind of already starting to see what makes a card more of a mint card versus like a near mint card, and be able to identify it quickly. So I think it actually kind of hones your skills a little bit if you get into it. So I like that about it. I've noticed that I'm a lot better at evaluating cards kind of on the fly now, because I'm already starting to kind of look without thinking about it, looking at the centering, kind of taking in the centering, taking in the corners. I've always been like looking at the corners, but also just looking at the corners with like more magnification than I was previously examining them with. And I think that was a big game changer for me.
Digital mag.
Because all these guys you can't say they're all guys, but like all the people that are evaluating the cards are using some type of magnification to evaluate.
Yeah, it's all digital magnification.
Yeah. It's magnification. So they're using different types of microscopes, or
they're not using the Hubble. They use digital mags. I mean, across the board, they use digital magnification. I've
seen like people who submit to PSA own these digital, like they're microscopes basically. Yep. They're like low level microscopes. And then they'll just like be able to see the card very, very, it's actually pretty impressive what you could do, because it'll blow up the corner and you're like, oh, you can see that's very sharp.
Little handheld ones. They're perfect. They're less than $200. You can get them on Amazon, but they're worth their
totally worth it if that's your thing, man. You know, yeah. If you're losing your eyesight a little bit, I already need my glasses to. It's funny when I go to card shows, and there's been like a handful of times where like maybe once or twice, 3 times where I've lost. Or I forgot to bring my glasses. I'm just like waking up at 4:00 in the morning to get the early bird on a show, and I totally spaced my glasses. And then I'm going to the show, and I'm just like, well, I guess we're going blind here, and do the best to kind of hold the card like 3 feet away sometimes to see if you can make something out. But you know, I always joke with the dealers those days. I'm like, hey, you're gonna tell me if I buy something good here, right?
So the benefit to me is that I can't make it out of my driveway without my glasses. I'll recognize because everything's fuzzy. But like, nope, getting my glasses, I can't drive because I probably wouldn't make it to the show.
I'm not that point yet. For me, it's all like near stuff.
Man, at 40, I went for my vision appointment, and went in. I had 20/20 vision the previous year, and came out with progressive trifocals.
Damn, man. Damn.
So it was like I hit 40 and fell off a cliff vision wise. They're like, well, you stop seeing now.
I haven't quite fallen off a cliff, thankfully, knock on wood, but it's been, you know, I really do try to limit the amount of time I use my glasses. But anyways, topic for another time. Back to the grading. So yeah, I think that you know, it can help to hone your skills in evaluating cards, which I think is a valuable skill to have in general. Sure. And then, you know, value, protection. I don't know what else there is to say. It's you can kind of like set it aside and forget it. You put it in a dark box, and as long as nobody shakes the box or fills it with water. I mean, I don't know. I mean, are they watertight? They're watertight. So if it floods, it's like you're fine as long as the box doesn't get carried down a like river or something. You know.
So funny thing, a kid on I don't remember if it was Instagram or TikTok this past winter in Ohio. Ohio, I think it was Ohio, not Indiana. I think it was Ohio. Took 3 cards. He took a CGC card, a PSA card, and an SGC card, and buried them in his backyard in like November, like a foot deep. Buried them, covered with dirt, and left them.
Like didn't know nothing else outside of them.
Just did no bags. They weren't bagged or anything. They literally put them in a hole, covered them up, and left them. And went back in March and dug them up and tested all three of them were 100% waterproof, contained. The SGC slab, I believe, was the one that came out, wasn't scratched as much and was less dinged up. The PSA slab came out very scratched up and damaged the slab, but the card was still intact. Registration number was still, visible and that kind of stuff. And then the CGC card was sort of fell in the middle, which is just kind of interesting to me. But one of the things that I've long thought as a pro of grading with SGC over the other ones is the size of the slab. And it's what a lot of people don't like about their slabs is that they are slightly bigger and bulkier. But for protection wise, that's why all of my PC stuff goes to SGC, because I like the way the tuxedo slabs work, just the black and white, first of all.
Yeah. Well, I do think that some cards look really good in certain grading. Like there's oh man, it's like GMA, I think, that has like the yellow, like the gold and black. Paul Skeen's cards look amazing in that. Like Pirates cards look amazing in the GMA slabs. So there's
a company named HGA where you can tell them what color the border of the slab is going to be, and you can tell them what color the label is. You can actually, like for tie-dye cards, Prism tie-dye cards out of 25, you can actually have tie-dye labels printed up to match the tie-dye card, which is pretty cool.
That's pretty fun.
But yeah, so as far as the pros for me, as far as grading goes, besides the protection and the up in the value, the appearance. The appearance on presentation. So you don't sell as much at live shows, like at card shows, more online, but in person, when you walk up to a showcase and see nicely, neatly lined up slabs and that kind of stuff, and I organize mine well and that sort of thing, but there's an eye appeal to that draws people in. And then they might look at some of your cards in mags, they might look at some of your dollar boxes, that kind of stuff. So I feel like that's a pro as far as grading goes. Another pro as far as grading goes from a business standpoint is protection of your investment. I feel like if you know you have a car that's going to go up in value over time, and you know that grading will exponentially elevate that value, and this is your business, it doesn't make any sense not to do that, right? I mean, you're talking about you can if it's your business, why would you want to leave value on the table? The other side of that, and we'll talk to that going into cons, is the time. But there's those and display appeal. So if you have cards that some people will get complete sets or sets of 10 cards of inserts or whatever done, and then they display them in the slabs and that kind of stuff. So you've got that protection, but you've also got that display eye appeal as well, lined up. There is something that I've learned doing card shows over the last 6 months, that in the TCG community, the Pokemon community, there are collectors that will take cards out and drag them through their garden, or put them in their backyard and step on them a couple of times, or put them in the driveway and drive over them in their car, which you may go, why in world's name would you do that? Well, these collectors want to collect this one card, this one Pokemon card, in a 1 through 10.
Yep.
So they may have 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, 9, and 10, and they're missing the 2 and the 7, or the 3 and the 7. So then they will go and damage these cards to the point that, why is there 8 times the amount of Pokemon cards and TCG cards at PSA right now than sports cards? Because sports cards, people wouldn't do that to save their lives.
I've seen some people do that. I've seen people collect. I mean, actually, it's pretty funny. The Ken Griffey Jr. 89 upper deck is like the actually some of the lower grades of the 89 upper deck Griffies are like crazy expensive.
I sold my altered. It came back altered, and it was high value because the guy wanted a 0. And but what I don't see is people going out and they'll go and search those cards out. They won't go and damage the cards in purpose. I've never heard of somebody going out and damaging a sports card on purpose to get a loan.
Oh, interesting.
I've seen them go seek them out. I've seen that. I sold my Griffey that was altered to a guy that was looking for that specifically, and I got good value for it, for an altered card. We actually talked about it a couple months ago when it happened. But I've never heard of a sports card collector going and doing that on purpose. I have known TCG collectors that have gone and done that. I'm like, what are you doing? But if that's what their appeal is, hey, different strokes for different folks. I'm not here to tell anybody what to collect. We're here about collecting for the joy of the hobby. And if that's what you're into, then go do it. Go do it.
Some people like to be completionists, They like to get it all, collect them all.
Yeah. So that really, that basically covers the pros for grading. Transportation, I guess, and care of the cards is another thing, because they don't fall out of the mags. You don't have to worry about them getting dinged up. Once they're in a slab, they're pretty much self-contained. They're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to get them banged up, dinged around, and that kind of thing. Cons of grading. Some of the things that I've seen as far as cons of grading, then I'll ask you what you've seen. But some of the things that I've seen as far as the cons of grading, the one obviously part of the elephant in the room here lately is the time. value submissions take at this point 5 to 6 months to return to you. So, and one of the benefits to grading with the one company, PSA, is Modern Baseball carries that maintains the highest amount of value graded with that company. One of the cons with grading Modern Baseball with that company is the fact that by the time you send something off that may be a prospect for this season, if they get brought up and make their debut before the All-Star break and you sent their card off at the beginning of the season in March, you're not getting that card back till October. That they may have already come up and been sent back to the minors by then. They may have come up and already peaked, so at that point you lose a considerable amount of value on that card in the wait time. You have other cards like Shohei Ohtani where you can actually increase value based upon the time it takes to grade the card and come back with the grade, because his value has fallen off a little bit over the last month, which is kind of crazy, but for the most part his value doesn't ever fall. Right. So there's no real con of getting those graded. And vintage cards, anything where you got the players are dead, the players are retired, the players are Hall of Famers, that kind of stuff, they're not playing unless they go and drive drunk and hit a family of 5 or something along those lines. Their card values really aren't going to drop much. So this 4, 5, 6 month delay in grading for anything older, vintage, that kind of stuff, it's not going to affect the value. You may need the value more now than later, but it's not going to affect the overall resale value of the card much. You know what I mean? What are some of the cons that you see?
It's a lot. There's a lot of cons. I will say, I did want to add one extra good. I think that a lot of times if a card's slabbed, it's a lot easier to comp a lot of the time.
Oh, sure.
Because then you're not bickering about if something's in a Gems 10 slab, I'd never see somebody oh, it's not really a 10 though, you know?
Yeah.
Unless there's something obviously clearly wrong with it, there's nobody who's denying that it's a 10. Nope. Usually it's going to be a small difference between a 9 and a 10 anyways, a lot of the time. So, I think that's actually a very convenient thing because it makes it easier to evaluate the value of a card versus bickering about, oh, I think it's a 10. I think it's a 9. I think it's mint. I think it's near mint, whatever, raw, because raw stuff can sometimes sell better than something that's slabbed a 9. And it's because there's that potential, right? There's that potential. So if it's in the slab, it's a lot easier to know this is what I want for it, or this is what I'm willing to pay for it. And these are the reasons why. There's
a lot more direct value movement between comp slabs. You get a 9, a 9 for this card isn't going to, you're not going to sell one for $300 today and then have one go for $500 tomorrow and have one go for $200 the next day. The curve is going to be much. You may have a $15, $20, $25 variation in the range, but you're not going to have a huge scale variation.
Sure. Yeah. So, but then getting back to the bad, I've got a pretty good list of the bad stuff. So the bad stuff I have is first off the cost. It's really expensive a lot of the time to grade, especially with the big boys. You grade with PSA. It's the value grading makes it so that you have to hit a certain threshold, or at least you should be hitting a certain threshold of value before it's even worth sending off. Otherwise, you're 9 times out of 10, you're not going to make your money back. So there's that. The cost is bad. You got to pay for not only the grading, but you also have to pay for, sometimes you get upcharged if the card is worth more than I think a certain amount. And then you pay for the shipping and you pay for the insurance.
Yep.
Both there and back, right?
Yep.
You pay for everything. And then on top of that, so that's cost one. There's the second thing I wanted to address is inconsistency on the grading. Depending on what day it is, depending on who you get, you never know who you're going to get. Man, I wish you could just pick your grader, right? You can't. So whoever gets your card, I don't know how it works. I really don't. But it just seems like a card could grade a 10 one day or an 8 another day, depending on who gets it and what they're feeling like, or how many cards they've graded that day, and if they're just pissed off or whatever. So there's that. And then the other things, I'll just put it under shenanigans. There's a lot of different shenanigans that seem to be happening, and all kinds of grading companies, not just PSA, but cars getting stolen. That's kind of a USPS thing, but it's also a grading thing sometimes, unfortunately, where they've traced back and said, well, the card's gone. Well, USPS actually delivered it to you. Where is the card? And they're well, we can't find it. And then what do you do? Right. So cards getting stolen. I'm saying this is all allegedly. I don't have any direct experience with this, so I just want to say that allegedly. Cards getting stolen, cards getting swapped. I've heard of that as well. Like literally, they send a picture of the card and send it in to make sure that there's proof that the card was in a certain condition, and then they get a card back that is obviously not their card. Like it's obviously like it was a lower grade, but it obviously was not their card because the condition of the card is different. Like it's visibly a different card than the card they sent in. So cards getting swapped, and then also it could just be cards getting damaged, and then they don't like. What's the recourse if like you send in a card and then you get it back and it's obviously in a poorer condition than you sent it over in? It's not like you can get the replay of them handling your card. Yeah. I'm sure that it happens occasionally where somebody will drop a card. I'm sure it happens. Like there's no system where they're grading millions of cards and a certain percentage of them don't get dropped or have corners dinged or whatever happens, you know? So, or like somebody's greasy thumb, they're eating a cheeseburger because they're like staying up 5 hours in a row, like, you know, late at night, you know, grading cards to try to jam some stuff in. And, you know, they get some fucking grease on your card or something like that. So there's that. Those are some of the bad ones. The other one I wanted to throw in was, and I think this is just a commentary on the marketplace, but like just a glut of really bad submissions. Like, I think that's another one. Is like, man, there's no standard for like what actually gets submitted. You can submit anything as long as you've got money. They'll take anything. They'll grade pretty much anything. So you got like folks that are grading like, you know, complete sets of 1980, 87 tops. You know, they're grading like stuff that like, or 91 Donruss. Well, why are you grading a 91 Donruss Don Mattingly All-Star card? Like, I mean, I guess maybe you thought it was really in great condition, but like, you know. I
mean, but okay, you get a 10 on it. You're gonna spend $35 plus shipping to get a card back. You're gonna be able to sell for $40. So
exactly, congratulations,
break even.
So I mean, it's like, but who's to tell somebody what they can and can't grade? You know, I guess that's the thing. It's like I think that's the thing, and I guess if there wasn't the other thing I wanted to say that's also bad about grading is that everybody's got the PSA goggles, right? Yep. So it's like if it's not PSA, it's dead to them a lot of the time. Yep. So, you know, I think that's another problem about grading is that like if there are no viable alternatives to PSA that share the same value and prestige, then you're going to end up with a situation where like we have now, where we're going to start to get into the ugly of all this stuff. We're going to start getting into the ugly pretty soon here, but that's my, I guess, a fairly long list of like bads for the bads in terms of grading and what's going on.
Yeah, there's definitely downsides to it. And to your point, as far as the handling goes, the biggest issue, the two big issues I have with PSA are consistency and handling. I've sent people that know me know I have sent hundreds of cards off for grading and got them back. And I have a meticulous process. I even utilize AI to pre-grade my cards before I send them. Nice. And when I get a card back, like a Derek Jeter refractor that comes back an 8 and has two 4 fingerprints and a thumbprint on it, I know 1000% that those aren't mine. And then when I look at the size of them, and they're obviously either a smaller human being or a female size finger, they're clearly not mine. But they graded it after they touched it. I've had several cards come back with corners bent that come back as 7 or an 8. And I know for 100% fact that I digitally evaluated those cards and there were those corners were crispy as can be. Yeah. So, and then the consistency and there's no recourse for that. You can send emails and complaints and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, mistakes happen. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to care that much because it's like at the end of the day, what is it, like a $50 card? Like they don't care. Like you're not a big streamer, you're not a big buyer, you're not a big auction house. If this was like a 52 mantle, you know, maybe you'd have a little bit different recourse. Although I've heard allegedly that a lot of folks that grade the super high end stuff have all kinds of problems too.
Yep. So, yeah, it's across the board. The inconsistency is not centered toward just low end submitters, this kind of stuff. It's across the board. Yeah. Anthony, to answer your question, PSA is privately owned by Collectors Inc. The PSA is owned by the same umbrella company that owns Beckett and SGC as well. They just purchased Beckett this last year.
It's a good transition into our because we're already, man. Time can really fly, but I think we gotta start, like, if we're gonna talk about the ugly, we might as well start talking about it now.
I want to hit options first because we haven't talked about anybody but Beckett, PSA, and SGC, and there are other options out there like CGC, which has some benefit in that they, like Beckett, issue a black label pristine card. That means they give it a perfect grade. Sure. And those pristines out of CGC do elevate the value of those cards above PSA because they're basically 10s across the board. And you got Tag Grading Company, which does 100% AI grading. So humans don't look at their cards. It's all done digitally by a computer that evaluates the edges and crispiness and surface and all that kind of stuff. So there are options out there. It's just, if you're looking for maximum value, like you said, the PSA goggles are really the only ones that the vast majority of the collectors look for, and there really isn't a whole lot of value given to the other ones outside of that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
anyways, let's start talking about the ugly here, because the ugly is like we only have like a few minutes to chat further about grading, but we want to touch on the ugly stuff. As far as, because I'm not like super well versed on all the different controversies that are happening, but definitely open to hearing you maybe crack this one open. I think the ugly is stuff that I was kind of alluding to.
The ugly here the last couple of weeks, the elephant in a room that everybody's been discussing, and we don't need to spend a whole lot of time on this because, quite frankly, it's been regurgitated and out there in every forum with any collector discussion over the last 2 weeks. PSA announced, as everybody knows, 2 weeks ago that they were closing down their lowest 4 submission levels as of last Tuesday at midnight. This was 5 days before Tuesday. I think they announced it on Thursday. And on Tuesday, instead of going till midnight, they closed it down at 3 p.m. unannounced. They closed it down 8 hours early. Come to find out a couple of days later, in that 5-day period, when PSA made, from the point that PSA made that announcement to the point that they closed submissions at 3 p.m. on Tuesday, they were at a 10 million card backlog when they made that announcement. There were an additional 7 million submissions made to PSA in those 5 days. It elevated their backlog from 10 million to 17 million in 5 days. I have 2 issues with that. One, could totally see that coming. But the biggest issue I have with it is the motivation behind why they made the announcement to begin with, rather than just shutting it down. They knew, I feel like they knew it. And let me put this out there. I don't know. My thought, as somebody that has utilized this service for quite some time, is that they were well aware of what that announcement was going to do. There was going to be a run on submissions, and it was going to be a cash grab for them. And so basically what they've done is they've put a whole bunch of cards into the queue that they will monetize in the fall. And they've limited current submissions to express levels and above. So the lowest grade, the lowest cost for sending a card to PSA right now is $80 a card. Okay. And you got to wait 45 days to get that card back.
Yep. And so here's the thing, like the high rollers and the people that are already crushing it on the high end stuff, they're not affected at all because they're already buying at that level anyways. So they will not be affected whatsoever. The only thing this does is really mess over lower level collectors, like everyday collectors, people who want to get that card that their dad passed on to them protected in a PSA slab. Now they've got to wait like 9 months to make it happen. Allegedly, this is how it's all going to work, is that they're going to, and how they let that happen where they don't cap the submissions in those 5 days. They let 7 million more sales happen. It's like, that's obviously intentional. Obviously intentional. You have to, if you have any brain cells whatsoever, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. And, they're not going to turn down the money. Oh. They're not going to turn down the money. So now everybody who was hoping to get their cards back, it's even going to put an even longer backlog. It's going to take them even longer now to get back through all the cards. And then they're going to have more cards that were submitted. Most of them were probably submitted by like people that are flipping stuff and whatever, and it's fine, but it's like, what is going to be done to actually get these cards graded? And are we just going to see like a glut of poorly evaluated cards? Probably. Yep. We're probably going to see a very poorly graded 17 million cards. Like how are they going to keep the quality control up and actually get these cards done? I just don't see how they do it. I mean, they have to hire
anyway. Quality control's been poor, so they're not going to improve that by doubling the glut of cards that they've got. And Alan pretty much made my point for me with the I 98% agree with you. I don't know that they'll ever reopen the value tiers at this point.
Crazy. That'd be crazy. That there's some people that would riot for that. They would definitely be upset about that. But I think here's the thing. Like PSA, congratulations, you made a lot of money. What's going to happen right now is there's going to be a bunch of competition that's going to be coming to the surface. There's a lot of grading companies that are out there that are eager for business. They're not going to set up these. They're not going to make you wait for like 9 months to get your cards. There's even local alternatives here in the Nashville area that are charging for bulk $4 a card. The card slabs look pretty good. I think for like lower tier stuff, I don't think it's a problem. I think that there's going to be a lot of opportunity for people who want to create new alternatives, and some of those might catch on. I think that people might finally be sick of dealing with this and be able to like just take their business elsewhere. Finally take their business elsewhere. And also I think like, maybe some of the prestige and honor of a PSA slab will diminish a little bit too from this.
Well, and part of my concern is so that when PSA bought Beckett last fall, the CEO of Collectors Inc. came on this long post about BS, blah blah blah. We're gonna make SGC our boutique grading service and blah blah blah. How do you take the grading service with your lowest perceived value and turn it into your boutique grading service? I think what they just did is turn PSA into their boutique grading service, because with the elimination of the value tiers, and to answer your question, Mike, value tiers is value bulk submissions, to where you could submit cards for less or around $30 a card. You just had to submit. Initially it was 20 plus. Now you have to submit 50 plus cards at that cost. And so with elimination of those, it basically elevates PSA to that boutique level. They can kick all the lower end stuff to SGC and the rest of it, because they know people aren't going to send. I mean, if you send a card to PSA and the potential for it to come back in 9 is at $100 or less, you're crazy to send it into PSA at that point, because to pay $80 plus the shipping and the insurance and everything else, you're going to pay $100 to grade that card. Why would you give it to them for 5 months to hold on to it, to get it back, to sell it for what you had in it? Yeah. I mean, again, you get no return on investment at that point. So, and I think they're going to recognize that. And Anthony, you're exactly right, sir. It's up to the community to be the change. And I would love nothing more 6 months from now to look at PSA and go,
I think that they're getting very close here to being in a position where everybody hates them, and eventually collectors might actually hate them. They might actually hate the brand enough for it to actually impact the value of a PSA slab. We will see. We'll see what happens.
The other side of the ugly has come out in the last week that PSA has started to fire customers. And they've posted some of the emails, which is very interesting, because PSA has basically said, you are no longer eligible to submit with us. Your Collectors Inc. membership is being refunded, prorated out to this day. We're taking all of your cards that are currently in the grading queue, pulling them out and returning them to you in the condition you sent them here in. Any further submissions through any of our parent company, any of our sister companies, will be identified. You will be removed and pulled out of the queue at that point.
What motivation would they have for doing that? Is it criticism of PSA, or what is it? Like,
I haven't seen the tipping point between. I haven't seen the point between the consumer and PSA that generated that reply.
Because it just doesn't make any sense. Like, how could they do that unless there's some political reason, or they just, here's the thing. Every business is entitled to serve the customers that they want to serve. That's just a fact of life. Right, but I do think you're not allowed to discriminate against people. I mean, I suppose there's some laws around that. I'm not a lawyer when it comes to all this, but it's not a good look unless there's something that's shady, you would think that maybe if some people are trying to cheat, they're trying to submit like counterfeit cards or things like that. I could see why they would deny people like that their membership, but if it's just like they're being critical of PSA, it's like, oh, I don't know about that. Like that seems kind of stupid, seems petty. But
private enterprise, you get to choose who you serve and who you don't. And
but what are they going to do at this point? Everybody's upset at PSA right now. So what are you going to do? Like you're going to ban everybody?
There are a couple of people.
Everybody.
Some of them, I don't think, but I mean, yeah, ultimately they could end up cutting off their nose to spite their face throughout this. But the thing is, Collectors Inc. now owns the 3 top grading companies in the sports card market, and TCG basically equates PSA and CGC. There's not a whole lot of fall off there between the two of them with Pokemon, but they've got SGC and Beckett. They're all under the same umbrella. So if PSA submissions go down 15% and Beckett's go up 15%, Collectors Inc. still makes exactly the same amount of money.
Yep. Well, so that's the ugly. That's the ugly of it all. We've kind of gone full circle. What we love about grading, what we don't so much like, and then there's a lot of ugly stuff too that's going on. But that's our perspectives on grading and kind of the state of it right now and where we are in 2026. So it was good little talk we had here, and thanks to the chat for keeping it lively and keeping us engaged too on all this stuff. So we really appreciate it. Too. We really appreciate it, guys. We're going to close this up like we always do with our favorite segment, which brings us back to the joy of the collecting and the hobby, which is Look What I Found. So we're going to share each a couple of cards that we just like, and it doesn't have to be an expensive card. Just share it for the reason that we like it and we wanted to collect it.
Why don't you go ahead and go first this time? I'm going to tell you that I'm going to break the law a little bit, because for one of my 3 cards, I'm showing 2 cards.
Sure. I don't care.
So do 2 first.
That's fine, man. I just wanted to give a shout out for like sneaky case hits, like cards that people don't know are case hits, but they actually are case hits. I like these top 100s, these score top 100s. They're in a crappy product. They're cool, shiny cards that are in like a crappy product. And people sleep on these all the time. Like you can find these in dollar bins quite a bit. People just don't know they're nice cards. Like,
well, they see score on it, they think it's just a low end card. And score, I mean, those are some of the best cards scores come out with in a long while. I feel like those are pretty cool.
Yeah, I think they're dope. They're dope.
So what's up, SM slabs? See, we've got a slab guy in here right now. Nice. So I'll break the law at the gate. My Hurricanes tied up the NHL Stanley Cup Series 2-2 with the Vegas Golden Knights last night. On this guy's goal, Jordan Stahl hit a go-ahead goal falling down backhand to go ahead 4-3 last night, and they ended up winning 5-3 with an empty netter. But I also brought this card, which is Ray Whitney and Eric Cole, which are 2 guys that won the Cup with the Canes in 2006. So it's kind of like full circle. This guy's playing for the Cup and hit a massive goal last night. And then, these 2 guys, Eric Cole broke his neck, got boarded. He was one of the reasons that boarding call came to where you can't hit people from behind on the ice into the boards.
All right.
He actually fractured his cervical spine.
Wow.
On the ice one game. It was out for a long while. But that's I'm done breaking the law now. I'm going back to 1 card each now.
It's not I don't know if we ever had a law there, but that's fine. I don't care.
Breaking the law.
I don't really care. Do not really care. I thought these were cool. These are, you see cards and they just kind of pop out at you. I don't even know what this is. Like you were telling me what this is before the show. It's like a gold camo.
It's a 22 camo. It's a 22 chrome camo refractor.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the back, and it's to 99, numbered to 99 on the back. Garrett Cole, pretty sick card. This is actually one that I wanted to send off to PSA, but I guess I can't do that now. But yeah, anytime I see a card where like, oh, I haven't seen that yet, I'm like, oh, it's probably a decent card, especially if it's a gold one. You gotta keep your eye out for stuff like this.
Well, that's just the camo refractor, but it's technically gold's out of 50, but the camos and the chromes are out of 99. The camos out of the paper cards, like series 1 and 2 tops, that kind of stuff, are numbered out of 25.
All right.
So people see the camos and chromes like, ooh, 25. It's still low number. It's still at a number 999. So I will to bring it up real quick. So Roe had sent me a couple pictures the other day about some cards that he had gotten, some numbered cards out of the newest product, and they looked like they had burn marks across the middle of them, just the numbered ones, not the base of the planar fratters, but just the valuable cards that looked like they got burned somehow. I don't know what the deal with that is, dude. That's I wouldn't grade them. I mean, take them back to the topic of the day, but I certainly wouldn't. Yeah, Alan's giving me grief for breaking the etiquette. Sorry, Alan. Is what it is. Card number 2 that I want to show is it just I'm not even gonna, it speaks for itself.
Oh yeah, those are funny.
Rusty Coots,
Rusty, good old Rusty.
My wife's twins. Iconic collector's card. If you don't have one, you ought to. It's just, I mean, it's one of the best names in all of baseball history. I feel like Dick Trickle in NASCAR, one of my favorite names in all time. As far as a race driver, your name's Dick Trickle, dude. I can get behind you. I don't even know if he's any good. I don't do NASCAR, but Rusty Kuntz, you got to have one. You got to have one.
Yeah. Rusty's good. You can't. It's hard to find him. Hard to find him. You know, love to be able to buy like a stack of 100 of them for your whatnot shows, but
you know they'd fly too. I mean, you can't find them. People hold those things. They're like, no, I'm not giving up my Rusty Kuntz.
Like bubblegum Griffies or whatever. It's just like stuff that people like learn. I don't know.
It's funny on streamer like on here. I have to be very careful to train my brain in advance to say Kuntz.
Well, that's not what I say, but
me either off stream.
That's definitely not what I say, but hey, that's teach his own. All right, well, that's cool. I got one other card to share. I think they should have more hottie cards. Like I got this Livy Dunn foil out of Allen and Ginter, and I think they should have more cards of like hotties. Like I wish that they, especially in like baseball apparel, I wish they did, like, and cheerleader cards. They don't really make cheerleader cards anymore that look good. You know, the cheerleader cards.
The Dallas Cowboys used to release sets of their cheerleaders, like photo cards or whatever, every year that used to be able to, like, people could buy online. They were expensive as crap too, if I remember correctly. Like the 80s.
But I mean like this, like if they had a home field advantage with Livy Dunn on it, imagine how crazy that would be. That card would be like $500. Like that card would be so crazy if they made a Livy Dunn home field advantage with Skeens. You probably wouldn't even want Skeens on it. Like just put Livy on it in a Pirates hat. You know,
it's like this. It's like the Santa downtowns from Panini. Those cards are insanely expensive.
Sure.
You know, I mean,
I don't understand why they don't do more like celebrity, like kind of mashup with like baseball branding on it and stuff. It seems like it would go well. You know, it seems like it would do well.
It's one of the things, Steph, and I like the most about Allen and Ginter is they do that kind of funny stuff. There's weird stuff in the product that baseball intersects with other things, and they bring those intersections into the hobby, which I think is pretty cool. And
I think all the other randos that they put in those sets would probably do better if they actually had like a baseball hat on, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like, you know, all the celebrities, half those celebrity cards look really dumb because they're like these old graying like stars from like the 70s or whatever. But if you put a Yankees hat on them, all of a sudden it's like way cooler, right?
Yeah, it's like those first pitch cards that the Topps comes out with, where you have the celebrities throwing the first pitch out and this kind of stuff. They're always in like the jersey or the hat or, you know, both, whatever, on the mound at the stadium. You can link it to the baseball, you know, that kind of stuff. But, you know, to me, it makes sense to do something like that. But they don't. I don't work for Topps, and they haven't called you yet, obviously.
No, well, you know, I'm around if you want to consult. If you want to consult with me, I'm available. Anyways, what's the last card you got, Joe?
The last card that I've got is this card's numbered 7 out of 50. It is a print run of 50, and it's me.
Yeah, those are cool, man. You're showing me a picture of that.
Yeah. Oh. So this is the card number 3 that I've got. I've got them available, but this guy actually runs a Whatnot stream. He only makes custom cards for Whatnot streamers, and he designs your card right there on stream for you. Called Thrift Shop. The guy's out of Ireland. He sends the print orders to Kentucky where they get printed and shipped from. But the guy did a super good job, really clean looking cards, and got them to me within about 3.5 weeks, which, I mean, designing them in Ireland
That's pretty cool. So it's like a refractor kind of finish on it too,
yeah,
or what is
foil.
it?
Yeah, it's like a foil. It's you can't destroy them, you can't tear them up, you can't. I mean, you can't crease. You can crease them if you.
Are they kind of like acetate kind of cards or something like that?
They're regular cardstock. They're just laminated with the foil over top of them, so they're somewhat protected. I don't believe they're waterproof.
Nice,
like
nice,
that.
man, nice.
Don't come in water, but
well, it looks cool. Looks cool, and it's got your sig on it. There you go.
It's kind of like
I see the resemblance, man. I see the resemblance.
One of the things I like about it is I sent him a picture of my card display, my PC card display, and he basically just digitally copied it in there. So these are actually the cards that I have on my display in my PC, like my Shohei rookie and that kind of stuff.
Nice,
these are actually cards that I have on the shelf back there. I don't know.
Cool.
It was kind of cool.
I like it.
And on the back, one of the coolest things on the back is that the back here has my logo, but this is what I really wanted on the back. This is a QR code. There's a direct donation code for StopSoldierSuicide.org.
Oh,
that I raise money for. They have a Roger system to help vets in crisis, free of charge to the vets. So it's a direct QR code for direct donations. People can use that and solicit donations directly to the agency, which I thought was really cool.
It's a great cause, man. Great cause. Cool idea for a card, and it looks like they turned out great. So congrats on that.
Vet crisis line, down 8, press 1.
All right. Yeah. There's always help. There's always help.
Yep.
All right. Well, this has been a fun show. We talked about grading. We shared some cards and shared some laughs with the chat. Thank you guys for tuning in. We do this every week, so we'll see you next time. If you'd like to be a part of our show, if you'd like to become a part of an investor in our initial run of this show, you can do that by joining our Patreon, which you can look us up by typing in Talking Cardboard Live. We also have an Instagram, and we do have a podcast you can listen to on Spotify as well. If you'd rather just listen to the audio version of the episode, we are starting to upload those as well to Spotify, so you can check us out there. And what else is there to say? Like, subscribe, comment. We do respond to the comments. So
share.
And hit that notification bell. I think that's the other thing you gotta do if you're a hardcore Talking Cardboard Live fan. You got to do that. And other than that, what else is there to say? I think I've touched upon it all. But is there anything I missed, Joe?
Nope. I want to say thank you to everybody who joined us tonight. Thank you for everybody who's listening in and listens in the future. Greatly appreciate all of you for spending your time with us, and we hope to have some more fun next week.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Do it.